Okay, good evening, everybody. Call the public hearing to order. I'd ask for everyone to stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll ask the clerk to do the roll call, please.
Councilman Coleman.
Here.
Councilwoman Allen. Here. Councilman Potter.
Here.
Councilwoman Smeesa here, and Supervisor Baden.
Here. Our first public hearing is on the creation of a special district. It is a proposed Accord Kerhonkson First Aid Ambulance District. The purpose of this is to permit the town of Rochester to provide, arrange for, and or contract for ambulance services, which provides sufficient funds to ensure an ambulance service is provided within the ambulance district. A map, plan, and report describing the ambulance district have been placed on file and available for inspection in the town clerk's office and on the town website. For the public, what this district entails will be the boundaries of the Kerhonkson Accord First Aid District within the town of Rochester as determined by the Ulster County Emergency Management. They designate the districts. And so the area that they traditionally have covered over the years in the town of Rochester will remain our district. For the public, we did a preliminary evaluation of the assessed value for those properties and the cost of operating the ambulance district and the estimated amount, and this was based on 2021 tax rolls, not 2022, but 2021. The estimated tax rate is 20.08 cents per thousand assessed value. The average home in that district is $250,000. And the based on that, the typical tax for a one-family residence would be $50.21. So as I've been saying, essentially $1 a week. This will allow the town to fund them more substantially than we have done in the past and allow the Kerhonkson Accord First Aid Squad to potentially contract with paid service for the hours that they have difficulty getting volunteers, and they will continue to use volunteers where they can. So that is the situation with that. So I'm going to start out. If anyone would like to speak, I'm going to recognize Charles Merkel first from the rescue squad.
Suppose you call 911 because you or a family member is in urgent need of emergency medical care. And there is a 1 in 8 chance our squad is not able to show up. That's not the plot to a horror movie. That is the state of EMS in the town of Rochester today. Good afternoon, fellow neighbors. My name is Charles Merkel. I moved to this beautiful town last year. I've been involved in EMS for nearly 2 decades, both as a volunteer and in the last 10 years, I've been involved in EMS administration and training throughout the state. We have a terrific first aid squad, and it's our honor to show up when you call 911 and we need our help. But tonight, we're calling 911 and we're asking the community to help us. The current state of EMS is not making Rochester a safe place to live. It's putting the lives of our neighbors at stake. And with the proper investments in EMS, we are going to make the town of Rochester a safer place to live. There's 2 issues that we need help with that this district will solve. First, when you call 911, you need and deserve a local ambulance crew to show up when those critical seconds count. 2, when you call 911 and we show up, our ambulance needs to have the equipment needed to keep you and your neighbors safe and healthy. Here's a few things about our squad. First, we rely currently on all of our volunteers. Our squad members respond to calls under the direction of a state-certified EMT. That's a high level of training that requires several hundred hours to complete. It's tough to ask people in the community to take on that level of training while still maintaining their full-time jobs. We're adopting a hybrid approach, where we'll use the work of our dedicated volunteers. And when there's gaps in the schedule, when our volunteers are at work, we're going to affiliate with a paid staffing agency that will administer a professional EMT program. We'll hire EMTs to fill in the gaps in our schedule. So we'll get away from that 1 in 8 statistic, which was our response rate in May. We're going to get that up as close to 100 as we can. 2, we need the funds to obtain medical equipment to provide the community the care it needs. School shootings are on everyone's mind today. These tourniquets save lives. When there's a shooting, most people don't die from the impact. They die from bleeding out. So rapid bleeding control is essential. Our EMTs are tactically trained, which means that if there's a school shooting or a mass shooting incident, we're prepared to go in there with law enforcement and stop as many people as possible from bleeding to death. What don't we have in our budget? These, the tourniquets. Karen McCarthy, one of our members, buys these from her personal funds and hands them out to our volunteers and troopers serving this town. I'm not going to disclose the number of tourniquets we have, but it's woefully insufficient. The best practice now would be for our squad to have a backpack with several dozen tourniquets to respond to a school shooting, as well as bulletproof vests. We have the training, knowledge, and professionalism, but not the equipment needed to save lives when it counts. This is our AED. We got this refurbished. This shocks your heart back into rhythm. This is a lifesaver device. Look at this. This is almost as old as the cardiac patients we treat. We need to update this outdated equipment, and it's going to make our town a lot healthier. This is our power stretcher. This is almost 20 years old. It's not just out of warranty. It's completely depreciated from the manufacturer. So the last time we got this repaired, they said this is the last repair you will get from us. This model is so old, it is no longer supported for repairs, even out of our own pocket. This stretcher is not powerful enough to lift some of our patients, which means that when we need to get a patient to the hospital, we're calling the fire department to respond, pulling them out of service because of medical equipment failure. This is putting our responders in danger when they're lifting patients. It's putting our patients in danger of being dropped. And it's unfair to our fire department that they're responding to medical calls just to make up for poor equipment. The other investment we need to make, so it's called a thumper, colloquially, and that's a mechanical CPR device. Performing CPR is one of the most time-intensive, physically taxing tasks on our responders. In addition, the state of New York says it's unsafe for us to be performing CPR in a moving ambulance. We can get what's called a thumper. It's a device we put on top of the patient, and it performs perfect CPR, and it doesn't put our volunteers in danger of injury, and it's better for the patients too. So with the funding from the district, we're going to get coverage. So when you call 911, a local EMT will be there to respond, and we're going to update our dangerously outdated equipment so you have life-saving supplies at your home when our ambulance responds. Some things about our squad and how we currently operate. We're not part of the town. We were funded as a first aid squad, neighbors helping neighbors. And we're an independent charity, a nonprofit organization. We're looking to partner with the town and become part of an official district. That means that we can obtain tax revenue from the town. It's going to be done in a transparent manner. You're going to see on your tax bill a line for KFAS if you live within our district. The average home in the town of Rochester is appraised for $250,000. That home will pay 97 cents a week in order to sustain life-saving emergency medical care through their community ambulance. If your home is worth appraised less than $250,000, it will be adjusted downward accordingly. If your home is more than $250,000, God bless you. The other thing you should know about our squad is that we do bill insurance. So if you have insurance, we take your insurance information. That insurance reimbursement isn't enough. We only get reimbursed when we do calls. The biggest expense of our squad is remaining at a state of readiness to respond to the next call. And in a rural area like ours, we don't have the call volume to maintain a squad based upon insurance recoveries alone. Last year, we did a little over 800 calls, but even that insurance reimbursement is not enough. That's why we need this help from the town. Without the investment in EMS, our squad will go insolvent and close in 2023. The need for this partnership with the town is critical. And by making this investment, the town of Rochester will be a healthier, safer place to live. And neighbors' lives will be safe. I'd like to thank several people that have made this possible. First, our members, past and present. Thank you for answering the call to serve the community. I would also like to thank all of our neighboring first responders. Ellenville First Aid and Rescue Squad, their president, TJ Briggs, met with us at this pivotal time, gave us terrific feedback on what we can do to be the best squad we can. Same thing too with Marveltown First Aid Unit, Joe Biddy and Beth Anderson, and we thank them for their partnership. Kerhonkson and Actor Fire Departments, a big thanks to them, particularly responding to our calls when our medical equipment fails. I'd also like to thank Jason Haig from the New York State EMS Council. He's based in the Finger Lakes, but is a friend of mine and has been advising us, ensuring we get the mentoring we need and incorporating best practices from agencies throughout the state. Finally, I'd like to thank, or not finally, but I'd like to thank the town board, Supervisor Baden for his leadership, Councilman Coleman, who has been a liaison to the town board through the squad. Finally, and most importantly, I'd like to thank the community we serve. It is an honor to serve you, and we hesitate asking for your help, but it's necessary for us to continue our community ambulance service. I can't believe the outpouring of support that we get once people hear about the KFAS story. We were at the last town board meeting, and after explaining our need for tourniquets, Tina Woodbury purchased tourniquets for us right on her smartphone and had them shipped to her squad. And we can't believe all the support we've gotten from the town, but it's time for the whole community to come together in a more formal way and declare that we want to set up this district to make sure that our community ambulance could be sustained in the future. Tonight, we have the power to save lives, and thank you for your support of our squad.
Thank you very much, Mr. Merkel. Does anyone else wish to speak on, this is on the Kerhonkson Accord First Aid Squad? Yes.
My name is Dee Holm, and before I ask my question, I'd like to read a couple excerpts from minutes from 2021. Supervisor Baden stated he received a letter from Marveltown supervisor regarding the EMS situation. And he invited Charles Merkel to come and speak. Charles explained the hybrid model, just like he did now. And we've been working with the town, we're working on a plan. Supervisor Baby stated that the board can use some of the ARPA distribution for the EMS services. At that time, the town had received $732,494 from ARPA. They had used some of it for playground equipment and installation, and they had $654,000 left. This was November 6th. November 17th. Supervisor Baby stated KFAS submitted a hybrid model for partial pay EMS. This model would be combined with the town of Rochester, like the other, this is just like the other minutes stated. And Supervisor Baby stated, currently in our budget, we have $44,000 budgeted for KFAS. We can maintain a budget at this amount and utilize some of the ARPA monies. Councilman Paddock at this November 17th meeting stated, well, that we allocated $44,000 and could give $106,000 of ARPA money to make the $150,000. At the regular meeting of the town board, December 2nd, 2021, there was a contract shall be made in the amount of $150,000 for the year to be paid in 4 equal installments no later than January 31st, April 31st, July 31st, October 31st, 2022. Upon presentation of their record of calls and things like that from the squad. The final minutes that I'd like to quote was on March 3rd, Survey made a statement, the first report of the ARPA money. This is about ARPA funding from the COVID monies that they got, the $724,000. The first report is due by the end of April. We have purchased the playground and installation equipment, premium pay of employees, EMS payments, and installment of a video. And we have approximately $300,000 left. Where is the money? The $150,000 that was supposed to go to this squad. $44,000 was put in the budget that was voted on, and $106,000. This company has never received a dime yet this year from the town of Rochester. Why?
I will answer that because we do not have a finalized contract with them as is required. It is on our agenda tonight. It was presented to both ambulance districts in January. Marveltown First Aid completed theirs in time to receive the funding. I'm sure Mr. Merkel can confirm that they wanted to make changes to the contract. He sent it back to us the first week of June. It is on our agenda tonight to discuss. And once the contract is finalized, they will get the money.
Every year, the squad has been given their money since February. And yet this board has seen fit to hold them hostage for a contract. Shame on you. You can make it public that they will do $44,000 and withhold the ARPA money. That I can understand. But how dare you? Did you pay your fire departments? Yes, you did. Did you pay your EMS who saved your life as well? No, you didn't. Shame on you.
Mary Lou, would you like to comment that we need a contract in order to give funding?
Yes, and we have, in the past, when we were giving lesser amounts before we were going through this with ARPA, although it was paid earlier, we had a contract in place earlier, I believe.
You believe a lesser contract or one that's so damn complicated that it takes 29 lawyers? This town has always budgeted money for its emergency services, and this town board has seen fit to hold up this money for a piece of paper. They've been doing your service since 1965, since Art Chips started doing it out of the back of a Cadillac that part-time served as a funeral car. How dare you? Disgusting. And yet you expect them to work. You expect them to show up. And now they've got to jump through this hoop to have a referendum, which to me is a good idea, by the way. And they've proved their need for it just here. And some of this comes as a packet, so it's not quite as expensive, but it's still astronomical if the name medical or EMS on it. What's happening is that in this town, is sad. And I'm getting to the point where I'm ashamed to live here, but until the shit gets to my eyeballs, I guess I won't move.
Does anyone else wish to comment tonight? Mr. Hornbeck.
Good evening. I just like to say for 97 cents a week, definitely count me in. Also, at 8 months ago, my neighbor didn't have a landline. She only had a cell phone. We got no cell service up there. And a bang came on the door, and I screamed and hollered to my wife. The lady was bleeding. She needed help. She called 911. It was 40 minutes. The state police, thank God, were there first. But it was 40 minutes before the ambulance got there. We almost had a baby born in our front porch. But the end of the story is everything worked out okay. But this is a service that we need, and I'll tell you, this would, I hate paying school taxes and all the other taxes, but for something like this, I don't care what it costs. I'll help pay for it.
Yes, sir.
I think, my personal opinion, we need to stop paying professional athletes, actors and actresses, people we don't need. They're just there for entertainment purposes, but we're paying them millions and billions of dollars. Emma, she was paid EMT, she probably makes $15 an hour. You can't live on that. You know, we gotta rethink our priorities. You know, is somebody's grandmother's life more important than a football game, baseball game? That's all I have to say about that.
Emma?
Why aren't we going full, please? I'm sorry, what did you say? Why aren't we going full, please?
That is not our choice. That is whatever we have a contract with KFAS. However, if they choose to go fully paid, they can. They have provided a budget to us with the ask, and this is what the request is. Let me, I don't want to get into a back and forth. Let me finish taking comments first, Charles. We will, if anyone else wishes to speak. Yes, sir.
My name is Dave Holm. I've been a resident for over 20 years. Been a first responder for closely to 30 years now. Was an assistant captain of the rescue squad. This is something that is long coming and should have been done many years ago. You know, individuals, I'm assuming, have life insurance policies, and you pay a hell of a lot more money for your life insurance policy than you would if you dial 911 and your ambulance doesn't show up. I'd be gladly to pay more than 97 cents a day. I mean, it breaks down to $50 a year. I'd pay $100 a year if I knew if I called 911 and the ambulance showed up at my house within 5 to 10 minutes, as opposed to a commercial ambulance coming from Kingston, if they're available. Mobile Life is contracted with many other agencies throughout Ulster County, and there's no guarantee for them to provide an ambulance. This is a step in the right direction, and I applaud the town board for going in that direction. It's the taxpayers within the township and the town board.
Can we keep one meeting, please?
I'm sorry.
No, not you, sir. You had the floor.
It's, you know, it's the town board, it's the citizens of the town of Rochester, it's the membership of the rescue squad who are spearheading this and bringing it to the public's interest, per se, and bringing it to light that this is a serious issue, and it's not just Crownson Accord, it's volunteerism across the state.
Yes, ma'am, in the back.
I just want to bring up a point that the volunteers have to pay training, and the squad pays for the training, and it's over $700 per person. So that also has to be paid. So it's not like just, and everybody's pulled up the street and you just become a volunteer, you have to be trained to do that.
Mr. Princeton?
I just don't know, I think it is late, so I don't know if the chart part of that, but probably if they realize in addition to paying the
volunteers and people employed, the equipment was tremendous amount of money, like $150,000 one truck. It's a huge capital investment, huge capital commitment. And for example, that space, what is it, $60,000 or something like that?
For both trucks.
No, I mean,
No,
this
it's
is,
a-
yeah, it's a huge capital commitment.
What is the cost on it? $60,000.
How much was the refurbished defibrillator? Refurbished.
Okay, we could, does anybody else wish to comment, please? Yes, ma'am.
Just wondering, after I just heard these prices, is 97 cents really a doable thing? I mean, like, it doesn't sound like it. I don't want to refurbish the defibrillator working on me.
The budget ask from the squad is $175,000. As was said previously, it had been budgeted for very many years at 22,000. We did increase it for this year to 44, and we do have 106,000 of the ARPA money budgeted to round out 150,000 payment for this year, 2022.
I think it's great that the town board is considering like taking on this partnership. I'm wondering that if maybe there needs to be something written into it that gives a rise for money, because the price of everything is going up. And I just would hate to see it have a blanket amount and then we're paying 97 cents this year, but we really maybe should be paying $2 or something, you know, so.
Well, unfortunately, because it must be done as a taxation district, it's like any other taxation. The budget is prepared, it is voted on, it is voted on by the board. There's a public hearing in November, and it takes effect in January 1. So because we are funded by taxpayers, we can't have escalation. We have to be able to justify every penny that's spent. And we are working with KFAS for them to provide their budget to us.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak? Ms. Avery.
Will the budget that they give us in November be able to be adjusted in our budget?
In order to create the district, we have to set a maximum amount. This is the number that they have presented to us for this purpose.
That will be the maximum they can get any year.
No, just this 1 year. Next year will be a new, each year will be a new budget.
Increase each year the budget.
Yes, so this is budget for 2023.
I didn't think you wanted to-
Yeah. And I apologize if I didn't make that clear. This is the budget for 2023. There will be a new budget for 2024, 2025, moving forward. So, yes, ma'am, in
I
the
also
back.
want to mention that we do fundraising every year. We have a tag day, big sale, we do various things, bring money in. We try and do things. It's not like we just have a hand. We work, we do a lot of fundraising, big sales, we do, you know, free market thing, we can, a lot of things. And I'm sure we'll continue to do it.
Okay, let me get anyone who hasn't spoken yet up. Copy.
Just because I'm curious, I've been listening, did they get the 44,000 from the budget?
They did not, as I stated earlier, we must have a contract with them under New York
Every
State
other
law.
year you gave them 22 and they just got.
No, we had a contract with them since I've been supervisor. It just has not been finished this
Wasn't
year.
quite understanding that. It sounded like that. They should have gotten 44 and then.
As soon as we have an approved contract, they will get the first 3 payments of the 4. And I'm hoping it's completed by the end of July, and we will happily pay them 3 of the 4 payments, and then the 4th payment will come in 3 months.
Thank you.
So, yes,
We
ma'am.
will actually run the rescue squad if it becomes a town entity or whatever word I should use there. Is that going to become a political position?
This will not. This will continue. The town will contract, just like we contract with other vendors. In this case, KFAS is a vendor. The town creates the district. We have a contract with them. We provide them X number of dollars per year. They operate under their laws and rules that they have to operate under New York State. What there will be is a oversight board of directors that will deal with from the town's perspective, it will be a combination of some town residents and members from KFAS, and they will have the oversight of the budget for the district, not the budget for KFAS. That will remain with them, but the budget of what they ask the town for each year, there will be a separate, and that is required in a special district. You must have an oversight board. It will not be the town board. It will be appointed or elected. We have yet to decide. It will be a combination of members from both. We're actually watching what Marveltown does because they're a year ahead of us on this process and how they're doing it. And we look to their guidance, but they will be the ones that establish what the ask is each calendar year. They will present that to us in September. It will be built into our budget. And then in November, when our budget gets adopted, that becomes adopted and takes effect January 1. So we will not be managing in any way. It will not be a political appointment. Town board will only be responsible for the portion of finance that the district is funding.
So the company that will hire the EMTs for the daycare from China, whatever.
That will be KFAS.
That will all be handled through KFAS.
Correct. Mr. Biddy.
My name is Joe Biddy. I'm part of Marveltown First Aid. I live on Cherrytown Road, so I'm also a taxpayer in Rochester. And just wanted to comment in favor of the AID for KFAS, to also give compliment to the tenacity of this group for maintaining for so long this volunteer model. Note that Marveltown just have followed a template that was established through trial and error of other agencies. And we just did our research, and Olive in particular was a model for us. New Paltz gave us feedback. We talked to Sophus. Sophus is still an all-volunteer model, but also struggling, right? A lot of the folks that are responding to the majority of calls, as numbers, are getting older. And, we're just not doing great having young people come in as volunteers. So I would point out that this group has just been a really Herculean job of sticking with it.
Thank you. Mr. Pinsky.
I just want to, for everybody's benefit, about the clarity for the process. So if the board was positive, was positive. The referendum only needed to raise opposition to your word. And if there is a group, I think within 30 days, they need to gather signatures, but 10% of last number was for governor, if I remember correctly.
For that district.
Right. So people need to understand what was the process. So referendum only will be if there is enough opposition to come up with a petition within 30 days. If there is no opposition, then it becomes the law.
And since you started that, I was going to explain it when we got to the vote, but nope, quite all right. What happens with this is it is subject to what is called permissive referendum, which means that the town board has it on our agenda tonight after the close of the public hearing to vote on this. If we adopt it, which I am in full expectation we must wait 30 days before it takes effect. If there is a call for a vote, it's being done specifically at this meeting, so that vote can take place in November if there is a call for a vote. As Mr. Pinsky said, it is a certain percentage of the number of voters in the last governor level election. Don't ask me how the state came up with that. That's what it is. We also would have to identify people who live specifically in that district. If we got a number of signatures calling for a vote, we are compelled to have a vote. If the 30 days passes and either no signatures or the number of signatures is not achieved, then the district takes effect. And then we will work with Ulster County Real Property to get the 2022 tax rates, which took effect as of July 1, which was prior to us starting this process. They will figure out the actual taxation amount. My suspicion is it will go down a little bit from that 97 cents because the taxable district, there have been new homes built in the last year. There have been changes to properties. Usually the tax level, not the tax level, the appraised level, assessed level will rise. This also will be the town of Rochester appraised level because this district is only in the boundaries of the town of Rochester. So if you look on your tax bill, you see you have an assessed level and you have a full market value. This is on the assessed level within the town of Rochester. We will then work with the squad to develop their actual budget. It cannot exceed the 175, which is what they have projected for the 2023 year. I'm assuming that that's what it will be. They do have to tell us approximately line items of what that is for, just like the town board has to prepare our budget. That will be incorporated into our 2023 budget through the public hearing process. It will then, a public hearing will take place on the budget, including those districts. It will be adopted and the real property will figure out the final tax rates based on that for 2023. And this will appear on the January 2023 tax bills. So that is the process. If there's no one else who wants to speak, I'm going to let Mr. Nurko speak one more time.
Thank you, everyone, for the outpouring of support. To hear the community talk in favor of this squad is just energizing. And we're excited for the opportunity to partner with our neighbors and the town on a formal basis to ensure that our community ambulance continue to operate beyond 2023. Just a few clarifications and responses to some of the questions posed. Our squad did counter propose a contract to the town of Rochester the first week of June. And the reason that process took long is because we also answer about 25% of our calls in the town of Warsaw. So we want to harmonize the contracts between the two towns, make sure there's not conflicting provisions. So that process did require some lead time, and I'm glad the town board is now moving expeditiously to clear up that contract issue. Whether the 97 cents is actually doable, and it gratifies me that people want to give us more money. We're still a nonprofit. We will happily take your donations. But yeah, the 97 cents, we did a top to bottom review. That is a sustainable model. That would allow us to get paid staff. So when you dial 911, a call will be answered locally. We'll get the equipment we need. And the other thing that's also new to our budget, training. Our volunteers have done a lot of training in-house. We're now making investments to get our volunteers at even higher levels of training. And we're putting our money where our mouth is. I get paid to do EMS training. I donated my speaking fee from a conference in Lake Placid and made sure that 6 of our top volunteers could attend a weekend of continuing medical education so they could bring that knowledge back home. But we can't do this by me donating a speaking fee, people doing a bake sale. In order to run a top flight professional operation, we need that $175,000 a year from the town. And the only way we can sustain that level of investment is through the tax district. But we will work in other ways to minimize costs. That's voluntary donations. We aggressively go after insurance companies so they pay the amount of money they owe. But those sources of funds is simply not enough to sustain us. And we'll close in 2023 based upon those funding sources alone. There's some questions about who will run us, and we look forward to working with the town, the commissioners, and the board. We're subject to the Department of Health oversight. So all of our clinical operations, even though we're volunteers, we have the same level of professional training and service as a fully paid agency. Our hiring will actually be done by a separate company called E5 Support support services. I've known the owner of E5 for about a decade, and their model is helping volunteer agencies that have trouble answering 911 calls and doing a whole separate paid service. So the separate company will be administering our paid staff program. That means that the paid staff will have a professional management team separate from the volunteers. Because based on feedback, and I know the reality, paid professional EMTs don't want to come and report to volunteers. So we're going to have a separate chain of command in place. This company has a track record of success doing a hybrid model throughout upstate New York. And this is what we're going to propose. We know that other towns have different models, and I commend them. Everyone is looking at different models for what works best for them. But we think you've seen the success of Ellenville First Aid and Rescue Squad with paid and volunteers. And we think this is the best direction for our squad and for our community. Again, thanks everyone for the support. Big thanks for the town for making this possible, and for our neighbors, allowing us the privilege of serving you and the support to keep our community ambulance running.
Thank you. I do see we have one person remote here, the caller that's on the line 1101. Do you wish to speak tonight? You push *6 on your phone, it will unmute your phone.
Now?
Yes, we can.
Hi, this is Beth Anderson. I just want everybody to take a bow. This is the right direction to support and fund the service that the town peoples want. Neighbors want timely, responsive, professional ambulance service. We have it. We have it here. We're funding it. We will have it for many years. This is the right step. It's the most cost-effective way to achieve the service that the people want. Thank you for doing it. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Supervisor. Thank you, Town Board. Keep moving in this direction.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else have any other comments they'd like to make? Okay. If not, I would ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Have a second? Charlie is not voting. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Okay. Our second public hearing is very similar. This is for the Marveltown First Aid Unit Ambulance District. The boundaries are primarily the High Falls area. We'll vote to close the public hearing. Get her in that. For Marveltown, they cover a significantly smaller area of the town. The funding being asked is for $15,500. That works out to a tax rate per thousand of 21.73 cents per thousand. The average home in their district is $320,000, which works out to the yearly tax would be $69.54. Only slightly more, and if you look at the so much per thousand, it's very, very comparable. It's 20 cents per thousand for KFAS, 21.7 cents per thousand for Marveltown. So I will open the public hearing. I'm going to recognize Mr. Vitti first from their agency, if he would like to speak.
Great. Well, just by way of history, the way this thing has evolved happened over a 3-year period in terms of us becoming a partial paid model initially, and now we are currently at about 95. That you're still on. We currently have 2 volunteers on the squad still. I am one of them. So, that's something that we saw other agencies have occur as well. A decision that we made was to go ahead and offer our volunteers the opportunity to be paid as well. We feel that we could make something work with an outside agency, internally as well, which saved us money rather than bringing an outside agency. But we were able to do that because we had some volunteer help to do that. So I certainly understand the KFAX model as well. So, I think our goal was to have in terms of the place that we cover in Rochester, that would I know from my house on Cherry Hill Road, about 6.8 miles from and 2.5 miles from Marveltown. So people were so just from a public standpoint, we're scratching the head about why there's two. Similarly, we first having a point of this service area in the Warsaw. It's just a patchwork that involves and makes most sense in the region. So I just want to commend for taking this happen. Yeah, we don't want to be confused with things that can happen without the history of the aspect.
Anyone else?
And I live in high school. Nope. This gift is really happy to be. 3 nights ago, I woke up in the middle of the night and said, had a heart attack. But I had very severe chest pains. And I woke my wife up and asked her for a couple of aspirin, and it worked. The chest pain stopped, fortunately. But it's had the idea that there was a Marveltown first aid district 2 miles away from me, not just 2 miles away from me, but someone in the building by the car 24/7. Someone's there all the time. And that's different. I mean, not to put KFAX the one floor. So I'm delighted to support them and to support Marveltown. Because if the estimate hadn't worked, the idea that there was some people in the building 2 miles away with the equipment to save my life was wonderful. So I strongly support and ask the community to support these Marveltown first aid squad.
Anyone else? Speak?
Let's say, KFAX supports our neighbors at Marveltown First Aid Unit. We think funding and EMS is important, and with the proper investments, each of our respective agencies that the town of Rochester is served by having prompt professional care, regardless of where you live in the village. The Marveltown model does work. And we see the investments that the town of Marveltown has made, and that town is safer. We think through the formation of districts in the town of Rochester, we will catch up and have the same level of quality service that our neighbors in Marveltown have.
Also to clarify, the ask is significantly different because of the coverage area. KFAS covers almost the bulk of the town of Rochester, except for a little piece up in Yeagerville, which I think is covered by Ellenville. And the area in the High Falls area, which is covered by Marveltown First Aid Unit, and that is because of proximity to their station. It is a much closer response to than for KFAS. So Rochester has essentially 3 ambulances that service us. And we are responding to these 2. It's actually 4.
Well, I'm not sure what you're referring to here.
Well, the ambulance,
Two ambulances.
yeah, I didn't mean numbers, I just meant agencies. We did receive 9 written comments specifically on the Marveltown First Aid, all in support, and those letters are included in the record of the meeting. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on the Marveltown First Aid? I just would like to say that I'm glad the town board is able to do this. We did move forward. There is a process. This can't be done overnight. We started moving toward this answer in January of this year. Funding it this year through the benefit of the ARPA money. We did double the allotment that was included in the budget from the town from previous years. And as I said earlier, that funding for KFAS had been stagnant at that rate for decades. The Marveltown was not even funded until last year. So we started funding them last year. We've increased the funding. We thank the volunteers for all they do. We look forward to partnering with you, and I think this is going to be a great success. The county, just to provide information, New York State actually is looking at how to fund EMS. And the problem is fire districts are allowed to be their own taxing district independent. We have the Accord Fire District, we have the Cohasset Fire District. They create their own budget. They determine their budget. The town collects their taxes, and we are a pass-through organization. We have no say over their budget. We have no control over their budget. We simply collect their taxes and pass it through to them when the taxes are received in February. Ambulance districts by New York state law are not allowed to do that. It's time it needs to change. Senator Hinchy from Saugerties is working on that. There is a state committee that is reviewing this process right now. Ulster County has formed its own committee who is also reviewing the various models. And within Ulster County, you have some where EMS is part of the fire district. You have some that are totally volunteer. You have some that are hybrid. You have some that are totally paid. What Ulster County is trying to do is make all of these work to the best of our ability within our county. So this committee is meeting once a month right now. A consultant has been hired by the county to study this, to come out with a solution with hope. The state will allow these districts to create their own taxation districts ultimately. But this is a way that we can make this work by creating this improvement. And that's what it is technically called, an improvement district. Sadly, it's no different in structure from a water district, sewer district, a lake district. It is an improvement district by law, and that is why it has to be formed the way it is. That is why we have to have an oversight board on the financial. It is very structured in what New York state law allows. That law is sadly outdated and needs to change. So I thank everybody for your comments tonight. And I'd ask for a motion that we close the second.
I'll make that motion. I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I ask for a motion to adjourn the public hearings, and then we will immediately commence with the regular. Second. You want to go ahead and change over?
Yep.
Mary Lou, we're changing to the
Yeah,
regular.
I'll switch meetings.
Okay. Beth, you're welcome to join us, but we are switching to the other meeting, which is on our agenda. The link for it is, Joe might be able to text it to you.